right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. I hope you're having a good one. Today we're tying what I call a red tag straggle nymph. More or less a pheasant tail really, but changed. I don't quite feel comfortable calling it a pheasant tail as there's a few different materials in there that you wouldn't see in a traditional pheasant tail. Substituted the fibres through the thorax body there with micro Fritz, and then instead of peacock or copper wire like the real traditional, I've got a straggle string, which just adds a whole lot of movement to it. We've still got that pheasant tail for the tail and wing case, and we've got this little red tag of floss underneath here, which adds just a little flash of colour, which I really like. I'll tie them as well without that, and then use a different coloured wire if I want to. If I want something a little bit more natural, or as natural as you can get synthetic materials looking, which to be fair I think is pretty realistic for a bug. Hook wise, we've got a Kamasan B175, and then thread we're using the good old faithful brown Semperfli Nano silk and the 30 denier. I love that thread, it's hands down my favourite. Most of the flies I fish are tied with it. But anyway, we'll crack on. Hope you enjoy the video, hope you enjoy the fly. Happy tying, cheers. Right, so our hook today is a Kamasan B175. I'm doing it in a size 12. A good big hook, but you can scale this down and make it bigger as well if you want. It's a nice strong hook. Thread wise, also very strong. Semperfli Nano silk, the best out there. And I'm using a Dr. Slick 3-inch ceramic tip bobbin. Ceramic tip's really good at dealing with the Nano. But you just want to get that thread base on there. It just gives your materials something to hold on to when you tie them in. With the tag end, if you hold it out at a 45-degree angle, or ballpark of, it'll cause your thread just to wrap back on itself a bit, so you get really nice, close touching threads and you're really covering that hook shank. We're just going to tie this in just up until you get to that bend in the hook. And then we'll be able to trim off the tag. With the Nano, you could try to cut it. If you're pulling it tight, it will probably cut, but the easier way I find is just get that little V and your scissor blades, slide it through. You're happy as Larry. We'll move on to that tag. Alright, so for the tag here I'm using red Semperfli floss. I just really like how vibrant the colour is. Like I said, food for thought. You could just wrap red thread down the hook shank into the bend. You could use, it's a big chunk of it, but you know, something like predator fibres, not that much, but some of them. But I like the floss. It's got like nice strong, once you fold them over, they're really going to support the tail over top of them. It's quite strong and structurally helps it out. But it's not the be all and end all, of course. Anyway, get one strand of the floss and I'll tie that in, double it over and tie it in. It just doesn't quite want to behave there, but we want to get it on top, and I like to use it to make the body just a little bit thicker, if you will. Fold it back, tie it in on top still. And then we're just going to trim it off. I like to go about in line with the bend of the hook. So you've got your nice little tag there. And then we can tie that tail in over top of it. The other thing you can do, if you really want to get rid of the look of the individual strands of floss, just fluff it out with your finger. Right, for the tail on this, I like to keep quite a sparse tail for them. You can do more if you want, but I really like that defined individual strands on it. Normal pheasant tail I usually chuck on more, but this one I'm using, there's about 4 or 5 in there. As a measurement, I go about half a hook shank. Ultimately, with the proportions for my pheasant tails, and other people will no doubt have other ideas of how they should look, but I like the way they look. If you divvy it up in the total length of it in 3s, so the tail, which obviously sticks out the back, can be half a hook shank, the body half a hook shank, or a thorax, and then the abdomen can be half as well. I find it's quite a nice proportion to them. Next up we'll tie in that wire. Right, for the wire, using 0.1mm Semperfli wire. Like a lot of things, you can adjust it how you want. Like, this pattern's good, I like it. You know, if you're dealing with mayflies that are lighter where you live, use lighter colour materials, or if you don't like the red, use copper or black wire or purple, whatever you choose. Same with that tag, like, don't limit yourself to red. It can be fun to have some different variations in there. Thicker wire as well will make that ribbing or segmentation more pronounced. Personally, I just like the thinner ribbing. I think it does the job well. But next we'll tie in the micro Fritz. Right, micro Fritz. That's a cool material. You can see it just catching the light there. It's not UV or anything like that, but it just catches the light. And while the fibres I don't think are, they're not super long to really impart big, massive movement. I think that the way it catches light will actually give that impression of something moving, which is quite cool. Anyway, we're going to tie this onto the shank. Just finish up back where the tail and the tags start. Just get that secured on there. And we're going to wrap it around. Same as you would a pheasant tail, bunch of pheasant tail fibres. Just as the chenille, it's much easier, and I think that little impression of movement imitates the gills you'll see on the side of a lot of different mayfly species. And just secure that in, and then we'll get that ribbing tied in. We'll just trim away the tag end first. Right, next up we'll just wrap that wire around, and that's just going to make that ribbing that we were talking about. Again, you can use different colours if you so wish. There's nothing too difficult here. Just gives that impression of segmentation. You could counter wrap it as well to strengthen it up, but with that synthetic chenille, I find it's pretty strong. It doesn't really matter, it's just to provide that imitation of segmentation. Right, and the joy of that 1mm wire is it just snaps up, or snaps off where you tie it in. And we'll do a wingcase. Right, wingcase, just using pheasant tail fibres again. There's a few different ways to do this. Some people use the tips as you tie in the wing case to make the legs, but obviously we're using the straggle string for that, so we won't be doing it on this one. There's a few different methods of doing it as well. It's Frank Brassard, and I apologise if I ever said that last name wrong, but he demonstrates on his pheasant tail. It's a great way to do it. We're kind of doing tie this part in and a couple extras on the sides, which is really good at making a nice full wing case. I quite like just doing it this way, get enough fibres in there and does the job too. But highly recommend going and having a look at his little pheasant tail video. Just a little short one on Instagram, and it's worth a watch. But once we've tied that in, we'll tie the straggle string in and then pull that over top. Straggle string, very kind of similar to the micro Fritz, only it's got these longer fibres, which you can see also really catch that light. For this part you could tie in a little bit, have less legs, tie in more, and have quite a lot. It just depends what you're looking for and what have you. I quite like tying it in quite thick. Right, just didn't want to behave there. Well, we got it. Yeah, just tie it in up to where that wing case starts off. Trim away the tag end. We're going to tie that in about, you just want to leave enough room to be able to make sure you can tie in your wing case there. And from there we're just going to wrap it around the body and just preen it back a bit as you go. You'll see it just really starts building up that abdomen, giving that impression of legs as all the fibres stick out. If you want to make it a bit bulkier, you could go back on what you've already done. A lot of the fibres will still stick out, or some will get trapped, but yeah. And just build it up until you get to that point where you want to tie it in. Usually about, I like to leave anywhere from an eye length to half an eye length from where the eye is. Just tie that in. Okay. We do a couple wraps to secure it, because we're going to end up tying it in a bit more here as well, just to catch. See how they're all sticking out everywhere. Just want to preen them back a bit. You can put a few more wraps in just to hold them back. You won't get all of them, but I like it more sticking back than sticking forward. Right, wing case. I'm just going to pull that forward. Lost it there. Pull it forward. Kind of with your finger, just guide it into place and secure it on top. I'm just going to push all those straggle legs, straggle string out and about as well. Secure it in. A couple underneath it will cause it to stick up like that, which makes it easier to trim off. Right, last but not least is the old whip finish. Now, I try to do it in a few more videos if I can, but you've got the hook, your little notch there. Pull your thread towards you, your bobbin towards your body. Bring the hook down on top of the thread. Wrap it back between you and the whip finisher. Back into that notch. Back that way. And then wrap away. As many as you feel comfortable. You can put some head cement on there, or generally, especially with nymphs, I'm pretty happy that I'll leave it at that for myself usually. Probably going to lose it before I have it come untangled anyway. But you can do a couple if you so wish to make it a bit stronger. But generally, they stay together pretty well. And there we have it. One red tag nymph, or a red tag straggle nymph I like to call them. I've got the pheasant tail for the tail and the wing case. We've got the straggle string for all those legs, micro Fritz for the thorax body, some red wire for the segmentation or the ribbing, red floss for a little tag under there, and we're tying it on a Kamasan B175 size 12, but you can go bigger or smaller as you need to. Could add a bead head on there as well. They're always quite handy too. Anyway, I hope it's a handy pattern for you. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and happy tying. See you next time. Cheers.